The Saints Row reboot hasn't been received very well by the gaming community. People who previously loved the franchise are disappointed our fan-favorite characters were replaced with cringeworthy hipsters, and the trailers for this game have received a lot of backlash. They recently released a character customization system to show off early, and people also had complaints with that. But I found an article where there were developers talking about how they were frustrated with the backlash the game's received so far, and how they're still very confident in the product they made, even though people seem to hate it. So I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon for just $1 a month, or support the channel via YouTube memberships. All of the links are in the description, and of course, I do really appreciate all of the support. So this article is from a little over a month ago, but I still wanted to talk about it because for some reason I didn't know that it existed, and I didn't know that the developers responded to the backlash. So it says, Saints Row developers discuss the game's reveal backlash and bringing fans back to the series. It's a little bit frustrating to see when you know what you're making. As a Saints Row fan, it's a little bit frustrating to see these developers go in a 180 direction compared to the previous games, and them change core elements of the game by toning it down for modern audiences, and they don't really care that fans dislike it. It says, following my hands-off preview of the Saints Row reboot, I sat down and chatted more with the Volition developers. We covered a broad range of topics, including plenty on what's new for this entry, but we started by discussing why Saints Row aficionados should come back to the series despite its brand new cast and setting. These are problems. The fact that there are a brand new cast, there's a brand new setting, the new characters are not appealing at all. That is a major problem. They said it definitely still feels like Saints Row, even if it's not the same characters, even if it's not the same setting, even if it's not exactly the same as before, it feels like Saints Row. And I hope for the individuals that are purchasing this that it does feel like Saints Row. I hope that it's not a completely trash experience for the people who are spending their money on it, but I am not going to be wasting my money on this reboot, okay? Usually I try to give games a fair chance that I talk about on this channel, even if I think that they're going to be mediocre experiences, but when it comes to the Saints Row reboot, I will not be spending money. So I just quickly wanted to point out this section because they are patting themselves on the backs, okay? They say we definitely have a lot more customization than any other game on the market right now, which I completely disagree with. There are plenty of games out there that have great customization. Look at something like Black Desert Online, okay? You can change literally anything you want by dragging the facial structure, the body structure. You can use sliders. It's got multiple different systems. I think that for me is the most in-depth character creator I've seen in a game. And this character customization system in Saints Row, it doesn't look bad from what I've seen, but it still doesn't look as good as that game. But even with the huge swath of cosmetics included within the game itself, the Saints Row team has decided to keep the protagonist's pronouns gender neutral, with the boss always being referred to either as they, them, or you throughout. This is something the devs say is purely for technical reasons and not done to suggest the boss is non-binary. Now, most games give characters genders, so they're either extremely lazy, if we're to believe them, or they're lying to not face backlash, and in turn they're going to face backlash. Either way, it's a very bad look for them. They're saying it's purely for technical reasons. I call BS. But now it's time to get into the portion where they're talking about Backlash, okay? The article says this brought us to Saints Row's initial reveal last year, which was met with a lukewarm response in the game's subsequent delay. I think there was always a part of me, and maybe even some of the other people in the studio, that always knew it was going to be a little rough at first because the old Saints are not coming back. It's a little bit frustrating to see initial reactions when you know what you're making, and when we're not quite ready to reveal everything, and that can be something that is a lot to go through. I was the one who came out and said, the Saints are not coming back, and that can be very nerve-wracking, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, and honestly, the entire time I've been here, we've been very confident in this direction. I've always been confident in this, and I personally have loved what we've made, so yeah, it can be frustrating, but I'm also pretty confident still. They also mentioned no matter how much backlash they received, they never planned to change the path that they were going down. They picked the path and they've gone down it the whole time. Now, while yes, people were obviously very disappointed that the original Saints were not returning, it's not the only problem that people have, okay? They're trying to brush it off as, it's just people who wanted the old Saints back. It doesn't really matter, which is absurd. People are upset with the fact that you're doing things like removing gender from the game. You're removing specific sliders from the game. The new cast of characters seem like cringeworthy hipsters. That's the best term that we've come up for them. They do not look cool or appealing. They do not seem very fun to play as. The game, unfortunately, from what I've seen, looks very generic, okay? It doesn't look like there are these new amazing systems. It doesn't look like a revolutionary title. It looks like a mediocre experience with the Saints Row name slapped on it. People expect big, bold things from Saints Row, and you're giving us something that looks like a game that already exists. I think that most fans will feel this way, but it would be nice for them to recognize people aren't impressed with the game and think it's a step back for the franchise. We're not asking for them to change it. People have made up their minds about the game, but they should realize the problems we have. They are just writing these problems off as, people are just upset that the original cast of characters isn't returning, when that's not the only problem. Judging by the trailer's like to dislike ratio as well, it seems like more than a few people hate what we've seen, because it's currently sitting at 1.7 million views, 40,000 likes to 85,000 dislikes. I don't think that there's a way to make people happy with this game at this point. You would have to change the characters, add new features, add a bunch of things that they removed, like gender, like sliders. I don't think that there is a way at this point. And seeing the developers write off our criticisms as one problem when there's clearly a multitude of them also makes people not want to purchase their games and not support their companies. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.